Good evening, all. Hope I'm audible. Okay. Today's topic is about session tracking. So, what is session? First question: what is session? How many of you are there? So, which gives user details. Okay. So, my question is not about tracking, it is just about session. Okay. A session is nothing but the interval of time which is interacted with web application. Okay, so the time taken to interact with web application, that's called it as in session. Okay, to track, to maintain user information, we are going to use this session tracking. So we have discussed, about HTTP protocol. Do you all remember? So HTTP protocol is a stateless protocol. Why it is stateless protocol? Yes, come on. Why HTTP protocol is a stateless protocol? I'm waiting for your responses. HTTP protocol is a stateless protocol because it doesn't maintain user data, or it won't remember any user information. So there might be situations where where we require the user who interacted with web application, right? So to track or to maintain that data, so there is a concept of session tracking. Okay, so session tracking, it is a way of maintaining the state of an user. Okay, so we can also call it as a session management, management in Servlet. Right, so as HTTP protocol is a stateless, so we need to maintain state by using the session tracking techniques. So each time when user sends request to the server treats that request as a new request. Okay, so in case if the server needs to identify that user is not a new user, then we can use this session tracking techniques. So let's get into that. Right. So a session is an interval of time which we interacted with web application. And session tracking, yes, it's used for maintaining the state of an user. Okay, so state of user in the sense user data. Fine. So yes, HTTP protocol is a stateless protocol. So we need to, as a programmer, so we need to maintain the state of a session by using this session tracking techniques. Right. So when when user interacts or sends request to the server, so server treats as a new request every time. So we are going to maintain or track the session information for a particular user. Okay. So what are the techniques we have in session tracking? So we have 4 types of session tracking techniques. Those are cookies, hidden form fields, URL rewriting, and HTTP session. So I hope all of you are familiar with the cookies. Whenever you're, get to a particular application, so it gives a pop-up that, allow cookies or disable cookies, right now. So when you click on allow cookies, right? So you are accepting to maintain user data, means your data with an application, right? So now we are going to learn about cookies. So what is cookies? Anyone aware about this? Okay. Fine. So when we, talk about cookies, cookie is just a small piece of data or, information about the user. Okay. So it is just an information about user. Okay. Which is persisted between different clients. I should not call it as a clients. It should be client request. Okay. So it's about request information. Right. So, and cookies can have, the name and value and attributes along with the comments as well. Okay. Let's get into this. Right. So cookie is a small piece of information that is persisted between multiple client requests. And yes, of course, cookies are having a name, values, and optional attributes such as, comments, path, domain qualifiers, and the age of the cookie, right? And version number as well. Okay, and there are 2 types of right. So there are 2 types of cookies. One is persistence, persistence cookies and non-persistence cookies. So persistence cookies in the sense, the session which is valid for multiple users. Okay, so session which is valid for multiple users. If it is a non-persistence cookies in the sense that session valid only for a single user. Okay. So, that user data will be removed whenever browser gets refreshed. Fine. So these are the 2 types of, cookies. One is persistence cookie and other one is a non-persistence cookie. Right. So where or when to use our cookies? So when we don't need it, right? So when the session ID is not required, and if we want to maintain less number of input values which are submitted by the client, so in such cases we can use this cookies instead of HTTP session tracking technique. Why here I've given HTTP? Because HTTP is the one majorly used with applications. Okay. So why it is preferred? Because especially HTTP session tracking technique is used for maintaining session both the sides in the sense client side as well as a server side, right? So then yes, cookies is a persistence resource which is stored at client location. So it's a persistence resource can be stored at client location, or we can say client machine. And of course, cookies files can exist up to 3 years. And the size of the cookie is 4 kilobyte. Right. Yes, and here, if we talk about programming part, or yes, as an API, in Servlet API, cookie is a class. Okay, cookie is a class, especially from Servlet, HTTP Servlet. Okay, so cookie is a class which provides a functionality, to usage, or we can say it as how to use this cookies, and also it provides its constructors along with its methods. So add cookies, get cookies, add name. So there are many more methods. We'll see those, practically. Right. So here is, yes, you people can observe here how to create a cookie. So if it is a class, obviously we have to instantiate, object for that particular class. So we are instantiating here by using its class. So what is a class? Cookies, and its object equals to new cookies. Okay. Along with the cookie, we are setting name, for cookie, we are setting name along with a value. Okay. Right. So this is about, creating cookies. And in case if you want to add a cookie, okay, if we want to add a cookie, how do we add? So we take, response object. First of all, when we take, when we talk about a cookies, whenever user sends a request, that time there won't be any, any user data to be maintained. Okay. So what happened, it processes. Okay. After processing, along with the response, we can add the cookie here, the one which I have written here. So we can add the cookie. So for the first time, assume that this one is a first one. Okay. And for the second time, again, if the same user logs in, or interacts with the same application, that time the user, application identifies, or browser identifies that this user is not a new user. How? Because, for the while interacting for first time, when he sends a request, after processing, along with the response, we are going to add that cookie. Okay. We are going to add that cookie so that, browser identifies that user is not a new user. Hope it is clear. See, we have many more methods with this cookie class. Okay. So those methods are, we can, we have a set name where, it can be used for changing the name of the cookie, or we can set the name of, name of the cookie, as well as we have, get name. So get name basically, which, used for returning the name of the cookie. Okay. And also we have get value method for returning the value of cookies. And we can set values, and also we can set the age of the cookie as well. Okay, so we can set maximum age. So with the help of set max age method. Okay, so let's go ahead. 1 second. So let me erase. Right. Right. So this is about, cookies. Actually, I have not added this, architecture, how cookies will be added. Any shapes here. So basically, we send a request. So assume that this is a request. And here is request sent to the server. Assume that this is a server. Okay. So when request sent to the server, can I add text here? Right. So this is a client. Assume it. Okay. Assume. This is a client. And here it is a server. Okay. So now what happens? This is a request. Let me write here. Request. Okay. And now after processing, after processing, that response will be sent back to return arrow. Response will be sent back to client along with a cookie. So along with a cookie, in the sense, response, right? So this is a response, which is giving back. So here in bracket, I'm writing response dot add cookie with name. Okay, so here is the name and value also we can, but majorly it is with the name. Hope it is clear. Okay, fine. So this is how, cookies will work with the client side, especially to maintain client data. Any questions on this? Okay, so let's continue with the cookies, right? So yes, of course, cookies can read, right? So read cookies for browser, and also to read these cookies from browser, to a servlet, we need to call get cookies method. Okay, so we have a method called get cookies method. If we want to read, if you want to read cookies from browser to a servlet. Okay, right. So here you can see how we have added cookies along with how we are getting cookie. So while retrieving cookies, we are going to use array of object for a cookie, because we are not aware it's with a single user or multiple user interacted with a web application, right? In such cases, we can use this array of object for cookie class. Okay. Right. So please observe, the advantages of this cookies. Let me erase this. Okay. Right. So it's a simple technique for maintaining user state or user data. And yes, these cookies are maintained at client side. So they don't give any burden to a server because these are not interacting with the server. So there won't be any burden to a server. Right. So all server type, all server side technologies and all web servers or application servers supports this cookies. Okay, all web servers and web servers as well as application servers supports this cookies because the main intention is for maintaining the state of an object. So that object itself is an user. Fine. Fine. So persistent cookies can remember client data during session and after session with expiry time. So we can define, there will be a expiry time. So within that time, yes, data will be remembered. After that time, yes. So definitely it won't be able to remember the data. Right. So we do have few limitations with the client. Client side, session tracking, that is cookies. So what is it? So it will not work, our cookies will not work. Suppose if we disable, if we disable these cookies, definitely it will not work. So there is an option to disable this, cookies. So you can go to your browser and you can check the option and right. So, and you can disable these cookies when you don't need to maintain the user data. Right. Right. So these cookies are text files. So there won't be any security. So obviously, if it is a text files, anyone can modify it. Right now. So there won't be any security for these cookies. Right. But with these cookies, yes, need client support. That means, if client disables the cookies, then it doesn't store client, it doesn't store client information or user information on client location. And right, so these cookies cannot store Java objects as values. So they can only store in a text or maybe in the string format, not as an objects, remember. Okay, so these are the few limitations of cookies. So it will not work when we disable these cookies. And of course, these are modifiable, so it is not secured, right? And of course, with these cookies need client supports, right? Because in case if client disables the cookies, then it doesn't store on client location. So even this is also one drawback of this cookie. Hope it is clear. The advantages and disadvantages, we can say, limitations of cookies. Any queries on this? Any query on cookies? Okay, so we'll see one simple, hands-on activity for this. So now let me change my workspace for, oh shit, it is changed. Let's wait. So now let me create. So here it is about, dynamic web project. So in dynamic web project, I'm giving it as an, I'll create cookie. Okay. So let's go with the deployment descriptor. Right. So now let's create one, taking common, yes, common logic for all this session tracking. So let's go here. And yes, so we can go for login page. So now here inside this form tag, I'm not going to pass any action now. So what I'll do in this form tag of username or name. So obviously we have to use a input tag, right? Input type equals to text and name equals to, so username, right? And I'm closing this and break tag. Okay, after this input again, button. So input type, input type, it's actually submit. Either submit or button. Okay. So what can be given here? Submit, button. And now I'm giving value as well for this. So value equals to, let me give it as an enter. Let's have break the tag. So then, yes, as usual, form, yes, form must be closed, right? And now let's create one package along with the servlet. So let's take it as an ExcelR dot. I'm giving cookies. Okay, because this cookie should not be a class name, right? So I just added one more E with this. Okay, so now let me create a servlet. Okay, let's take login servlet. We can take any name, okay? Login servlet, or we can say first servlet, welcome servlet, anything we can take up. So here, right? So we don't need to change anything. Name as login servlet and description is fine. And yes, URL mapping. So anyhow, URL mapping will be passing later. So for now, I'm taking only do get method. And right, so let me remove this. So why I'm giving only with this, without annotations, because if you wanted to learn further with any frameworks, so compulsorily we need to pass the configuration frameworks like your JPA or Spring. So in such cases, configuration will be taken, will be having high priority. So I'm giving a configuration file instead of annotations. Let me add the jar file. Select build path as configuration build path, and here we have to select add external jars under library wizard, and here is about Servlet jar. So yes, it is added, right? So now okay, so now let's go to this. Okay, so here what will happen? Inside this get method, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to set the content type. Okay, so either you can handle your exceptions or by using try catch blocks. It's optional. Either you can either you can go with a throws clause or you can go with a try catch block. Okay, so I'm using here try catch block, and inside try catch block I'm going to write response dot set content type. Response dot set content type. Okay, so in this content type, so let's say it is text/HTML. Okay, and print writer, right? So print writer and its object. This is for, let's take it as an out. So object can be taken anything. Okay, so out equals to response dot get writer. Okay. Catch. Inside catch, now it is about class not found exception. So here we can go with the just system.out, it's out. So here we can have object. So why it says answer. Okay. So there is an error here. Why it says remove cache close. Why it's happening? Okay, let's see that later. And for now, I'll continue. Okay. Is it use the throws clause? No. Okay, so now let me check with this, after print writer. So what I'll do, I'll just try to get, what username. Okay, so username equals to request dot. Okay, so request object, dot get parameter. And here it is a uname, right? So uname is what? The variable name, not variable name, the name, right? So here the variable or attribute name which we are setting it as a uname. So same name, name value has to be taken and passed out here. Okay, then only we are able to access that value from the user, or whatever the value which is entered by the user. Fine. So now observe how we will if needed, you can set that to the this value can be sent to a browser or to your console as well. Okay, so let me let me show you how to write for both console as well as for the browser. So for browser, it is out.println or print. So here in the print, welcome welcome user. That's fine. I'll just give welcome along with the username, right? So the same can be sent to a browser as well. Okay. So actually browser point is not needed, but still I'm showing because this is related to the browser now. Okay, so now let's go to create object for cookie. Creating cookie. Class object. So please observe how we create object for it. So it is a class, right? Cookie and its object C equals to new cookie. So here please observe we have a name. For this name, what we want to pass, the variable name which we are setting here, we are which we are creating. So I'll copy this and I'll place, I will paste here. Not in this place. We should pass, with the value place. So here again, I'm taking, new name as, I have taken here as a UN or new name. Let's take it as a new name. Okay. Now, if I want to access this user, I cannot access it directly. With the help of this new name, we will be accessing cookies. Okay, so now as creating cookies is done, so what is the next, next step? So it should be for adding cookies. Adding cookies. So cookies to where? Adding cookies to the browser. Cookies to the browser in the response object. Adding cookies. So here adding cookies with response object to the browser. Okay. So how do we add this? So we have to call that name, response object, not request, and pulls it. response dot add cookie. So inside this add cookie, we have to pass the object as a C. Okay. Right. So now what happens here? Adding cookies is done, right? So what will be the next, thing? You have to check, or we have to check whether the cookies are added or not. Right now. So for this, create one more, one more class. This is for login cookies. Now this. So that name should be. This is for, I'm writing here it as an get cookies. Okay. Actually, here I'll replace this name. Fine. Okay. So instead of login cookie, what I'll give, let me give it as an refactor, rename as an add cookies. Okay. Fine. So let's go to get cookies. And now in this get cookies, so what we need to do? Write logic for retrieving. So here we have to write, array of, we have to create array of object of type cookies from the browser. Fine. So this class extends HTTP servlet, and yes, do get method with HTTP servlet request and responses. And now here inside that again, we have to set, so we have to set the content type. We have to instantiate for print writer object. Okay. So then we can get the name. Okay. So, right. Let's go to this page. Response node. Set content type. Set content type is text/HTML. Okay. And print writer. So P equals to it's response dot date writer. Okay. And now this cookie object. Okay, cookie and array of cookie object equals to this is now we are requesting from the browser, is it? So request dot get cookies. Okay. And it retrieves all the cookies and assign to where? Assign to this object. Okay, fine. Now let's get into this. So now you can print this cookie name to the browser. Okay, by its index values. And yes, it's not out, it's p dot, p dot print. So inside print, you can display anything, welcome or hello or fine. Plus index with its index, object. It's a kind of array of index. Okay, so I'm using, let's take it as a 0 or 1, anything, dot get value. Do we have get value? Yes. If needed, you can try to get all those things, all those things in the sense, instead of get value, we have, what is it? Get comment, get domain, get a maximum age, get name. So everything, okay, get value, get version, close, and secure. So you can get all those things, okay. So, but for now, I'm taking it for value. And right, so if needed, we can close, close that print writer object, but I've not closed anywhere. So let it be. But closing the resource is a good practice actually. So now let's go to login page. Yes, again, there will be, question in the sense, will it get executed? No, right? Where is that add cookie? So in this add cookie, actually what happens here, I have not redirected to the second cookie. Am I right? So I only created a cookies and I added to the response. But from where to where, how do we redirect it to the get cookies? So for that, again, we have to write the logic after adding cookies. So here I'm going to write, logic. Okay, so here is a logic for creating, not for creating, for navigating to which servlet. It's a get cookies class. Okay, so let's go ahead here. We have to write out dot print. So inside out dot print. So again, I'm taking one more form. Okay, form action equals to, so within double quotes we have to pass that action and close this. Right. So why this error? Delete this token. Delete this token. Let's say Servlet for now. Oh, something missed here. It's single quote. Yes, so it's gone now. Now get into the second, second in the sense, submitting request, right? Again, out dot print. And here in this print, let's take input field, input type equals to submit. Oh shit, again it is a single quote. Okay, so now we have to close the tag. If actually we can pass here value as well. Value equals to, right? So let's click here. Okay. So I given click here. Now let me close this. Okay, so double quotes is done. Right now it's perfect. And now again out dot print, right? And within double quotes, form tag. Okay, so this is for navigating to get cookies form. So, but you guys can raise a question, what is Servlet? So I'm not at past configuration in web.xml. So let's go to web.xml, right? Okay, so now it's for the Servlet configuration. Servlet, and inside Servlet name. So what is that Servlet name? First, we have to add it for add cookies. Okay, so this is for the add cookies. And now we have to we have to configure for class. So Servlet class. And in the Servlet class, com.excelr dot cookies dot add cookie. Okay, so it's done now. And now Servlet mapping. Servlet mapping. So here in the Servlet mapping, let's take Servlet name and URL mapping. Okay, so this URL map pattern is add without /. So I take this, URL pattern and fine. I'll move to my login page and I'll pass here with an action. So along with this, I have to add method equals to get. Okay. So now again, come back to web.xml, and here in the web.xml, again, I know we do have one more servlet. So that is servlet name as get cookies. And I'm copying that class because everything is same instead of get. Right. So now Servlet mapping. Servlet name. Servlet name is get cookies. And URL pattern. So URL pattern is, I'm writing here as get C, because if it is a get, it might take it as an HTTP method. So instead of that, I'm using it as I pass it as an get C, or directly I can pass it as an get cookies as well. So I'll copy this. I'll copy this URL pattern and I'll move to this add cookies. And we have configuration, right, to redirect to some other page, the next page. So let me add comment. Get C is an URL pattern value, which is configured in web.xml. Okay, fine. So now we'll see. I hope everything is done, right? Right. So now we'll go to login page and yes, we'll run this, we'll deploy this. Right. So this is for name. Okay, so I had entered it as in hurry. Okay, good. So you people can observe here now. So it's redirecting to another page where the username is, let's take here. So this page. Okay, so successfully it's adding, redirecting to add page. And again in the add page, so we do have, one more, button. So where the button name is click here, let's go to click here. And if I click, if I enter one click here, it is redirecting. So that same, values it's retrieving and it's printing. Okay. So now actually I'm taking only index as 0 index. Okay. Now let's take, let me change here with the get cookie. So let's take here. So one as well, but I should give here a break. Okay, so if needed to check this again, we have to, redeploy this. So you can see we are, sending this username to a browser as well as to a console. So it's printing for both. And again, if I click on, click here button. Why? Because it's saving only present cookie. The website is under maintenance. So fine then. Right. So it's accepting only for the present user, because we are not using any databases and all, right, to maintain the data. So right. So now it gets executed. Right. Hope it is clear about cookies. Any queries on this cookies? Okay. Any questions on cookies? Okay, so if no questions, then we'll move to another, right. So another session tracking technique, that is hidden form fields. So hidden form fields is another way to track, session. So when we can use, this hidden form fields, in case if you're not enabled your, cookies, in such case, you can go ahead with us. Another way of session tracking, that is hidden form fields, right? So session, tracking client conversation by using HTML hidden form fields. So hidden form variables. Okay, so variables, the username and all, the UI components or the values which we, pass, those are the hidden variables. So in a secured manner. Okay, so we are trying to track user information in HTML by hiding those data. Okay, so that's called it as a hidden form fields. Right. Even we can say it in a simple way, it as an invisible text fields used for maintaining data. Okay, or we can say it as a maintaining state of a user. Right. So here is a syntax which are given. So input type is equals to hidden and name is equals to username and value which you want to pass. Okay. So the value or a username which is already it's hard coded and it is hidden from the browser. Okay. Right. So yes, what are the advantages? Yes, if you want to develop this session tracking, or if you want to use this session tracking with your application, yes, you don't need to have much programming knowledge. You can have just HTML knowledge to work with this technique, right? Yes. So this technique will work whether the cookie is disabled or not disabled, doesn't matter. So this HTML hidden form fields, it works always. And right, so these hidden boxes resides in web pages, web pages or a browser window. So they don't provide burden to server. Okay, so it not give any burden to server because it's not touching to a server, right? Right. So this can be used along with all kind of browsers or not browsers, servers, any kind of web server or application server as well. Okay, how can we get the user? Right. Okay, so yes, we have gone through advantages. Now it's about disadvantages. Okay, disadvantages of your hidden form fields. Right. So it's actually a bit complicated. It's compared with URL rewriting. We'll see that URL rewriting after this hidden form fields, right? And even this hidden form fields can be used for maintaining client side data as well. Okay, it is maintained at server side, and I'm sorry, I had given it as a client side. It should be server side, right? So again, here extra form submission is needed for each page. Okay, so extra form, one more form rather than the home page. It needs one more form because it's a kind of hiding, right? So it needs extra submission. Okay. Right, so these hidden form fields cannot stored in Java objects as values. They only stored in the form of text values, right? And also it increases network traffic because of hidden boxes or hidden form fields of a data which travels over the network along with the request and responses. So it's a kind of burden. So it increases the network traffic, right? And also these hidden boxes does not provide data security because the data can view through source view source option in your browser. if you go to your any web browser, so you can right click on that and you can view option as a view source. So that time easily you can view this hidden form field. So it is not secured. Hope it is clear. Right. So now we'll see one activity for this, hidden form fields. Let me create one new activity for this hidden form fields. New project. Hidden form. So I'm giving it as a hidden session tracking. So click on next. And generate deployment descriptor, finish. Okay, so give me a minute. I'll just back. Okay, I'm back. So yes, what is it? Hidden form fields, right? So let me close all this. Right. So again, creating login page. This is for HTML. Okay, so now form tag, so action equals to and method. So basically method will be used as a get. Right. So now name. Okay, so username as input. Type equals to text and value equals to, it's not value, sorry, it's a name. Okay, so name equals to, type text name is a username. Name, fine. So now again break tag. Okay, so now again password, input type. So input type equals to password and name equals to stuff. Okay, so now it is about submit field. Input. So type equals to submit. Value also can be submit. Let's click on write it as a login. Okay. So now we have to create what we have to create Servlet class. Okay. So before Servlet creation, let's create a package. So this is ExcelR dot okay, this is my package and inside it, so let's create a servlet. Here I cannot write add cookies, but here I can say it as an first servlet itself. Okay, first servlet, and finish it off with this. Okay, so here again, as usual, so let's take, try block. So inside this try block, let's pass catch block as well. So in this catch block is exception, and so response dot set content type. So content type will be text slash HTML and print writer. Print writer P equals to response dot get writer, right? And now, so let's take one string variable, string name equals to request. Okay, so request dot get parameter. So inside this get parameter, we must pass that name. It is name, right? Now let me confirm it once. So yes, name. right? So now if if we need it, we can print this name to the browser. So p dot print. So p dot print. It will be like welcome message. So welcome username. Okay. User is plus name is okay. And now we are going to forward the data. I mean, this name we are sending with another, we are sending to another resource, or we can say another file. Okay. So we can say here creating form, which is having invisible fields. Okay. So please observe creating form. Okay. So creating form that that is having invisible fields. Okay. So now p dot p in the sense, print writer object. So p dot print within double quotes form. Okay. Form action equals to. So what is the value here? So the value, it should be the second Servlet name, but for now I'll leave it as an, empty. Okay. So now again, p dot print. And here we have to write that input tags. So within double quotes, input type equals to what can be given here. Input type is text, but here if I give test, I have to write data, but here I'm going to hide the data. Done. I'm always using double quotes, but that is not actually good. Okay, so hidden, and name is equals to name equals to object of name. So here name I'm passing it as an username, and then we have to pass the value for it, right? So value can be right. So value, what I'm not giving a hard coded value, so I'll pass this value. Which one? The one which we are receiving, this one. Okay, so here I'm using plus symbol with a name. Hope it's clear. And now anything missed here? Value equals to name. So here it is, one more plus. Okay. So now again, we have to close, we have to close our form tag with the button. Okay, so form print, so input type input type equals to button. There is single quote, right? Right, button, and we can pass value, right? So value, what can be passed here as a value? Click here. Okay, right. So we can have one more form, right? So where we close this form tag, I mean, one more p.print, where we can have a form tag with closes, closing form tag. And then, so let's see which, yes, case, catch block is also done. So actually handling, here we have to write either e.print stack, or we can say system.out.println. Okay, e. Okay, so now we need to have one more servlet. Am I right? So first of all, let me pass, configuration. So configuration in this web.xml. Where is this web.xml? This one, right? So here, let me pass configuration for the first servlet. Okay. So what is that servlet configuration? Servlet configuration for servlet. Okay, so now let's move to the next line. Servlet. Servlet name. So servlet name is first servlet. And servlet class. So what is the class name here? Com dot EXcelR dot cookies. So here, right, cookies dot again, this servlet name. So I'll copy and I'll paste here. Right. So now let's go to okay, so in this servlet mapping, let's let's write here servlet name and URL pattern. So URL pattern should be /. I'm giving it as in a first. Okay, fine. So now let me take this value and go to login.html, and we have action. So pass this inside the double quotes. Fine. And now, so let's create one more servlet where we redirect, right? So servlet. So I'm taking it as a second servlet. Okay. And right. So let's go to a method, do get method. And yes, so let's fine. Now we can get that value, and as simple, so we can print to the browser. Okay. So as simple as that. So we have to create an object every time. We have to instantiate, we have to set content type, and then we have to create instance for print writer. So response dot set content type as text slash HTML. Okay, so then print writer and its object equals to what to be passed here. So again, response dot get writer. Okay, so now what we can do? So we are retrieving values from the hidden form field, right? So what we have to do now? We have to request that value. Okay, so with the help of request object. Okay, so right here, getting value from the hidden form field. Okay. Right, so now let's get into the next line. So here string, I'll take it as an user equals to request dot get parameter, and inside there is a parameter name right here. Let's go to 1 second. Okay, so here which is the name we have to get here? Hidden form field name. This is username, so I'm taking the same name and go to the second Servlet and paste to here and end it with a semicolon. And now you can print this to the browser. So p dot out. So p dot, it's not out, sorry, it's print. So welcome to so I just now written it as a welcome to ExcelR, or you can write anything, fine. And with a space, so plus, and in the plus, so I have to print user here, this one. How right, so I've taken and I've written here, let me pass center, and here I have to close, so close the center tag. Okay, so now can go here, right, again we have And now once I try to refresh this, actually I'm getting, server error. So let's try to refresh this project after cleaning. And now let's go to login page. Everything is fine, huh? Right. So now click on, let me add one, headline here. So H1 login page. Okay. So all this, I'll pass in center. Right after form. Fine. And now I'll close and I'll redeploy this one. Let me check now. It is working fine. So again, it's actually, it's hiding this value, right? It's not hiding. The value which we are getting, this value we are hiding in this button, right? And we are getting now again, click here. This is not working button. So let's go here. It's hiding with it's working till this place, and it's not redirecting to another one. So what will be the issue here? Form action, batteries down. 1 second. Okay, give me a minute. So input type equals to hidden. So, and name equals to the variable which we want to redirect to another page, and value equals to um, else. Let me try once now. I added single quote because It's redirecting. Still not. What is the problem? Yes, it's not audible. So I am replacing button to submit. So let's see now. It's working fine. So what was a mistake here? I had given button and after button. So I just combined this, button and submit and value. Okay, so that's the reason it was not redirecting. Okay, so hope it is clear. Hidden form fields. So in the first page, we are trying to request, we are getting the parameter. That same parameter, we are trying to redirect to another. Am I audible now, guys? Okay. About, hidden form fields. Any questions on this? No questions. Fine then. So we'll move to another one, that is same session tracking by another way. Okay. Right. So which is that another Why? I'm sorry, guys. It's disconnecting. Okay. Right. So when to use this URL rewriting? So when you disable your cookies in browser, okay, when we disable cookies in browser, then, definitely cookies are not able to work with session management. So in such cases, we can go ahead with this.
Rupa, your voice is not audible, Rupa.
Oh, sorry. Right. So what is the class name here? I'm going to take it as an, first servlet, right? And click on next. Yes, click on finish. And now let me remove this annotation part. Okay, so add that Servlet jar. Right. Yes, Servlet jar is added. And now let's go to this get method. Right. So now again, dot set content type. So here text slash HTML and right. So after your text slash HTML, we have to create instance for print writer. P equals to response dot get writer. Okay, so now it's done. It's done in the sense. So two common steps are done. Now we have to get the string from user. So string name equals to request. So request dot get parameter. So here in the parameter, this is your username. So the name which we are setting for inside your login page. You name. Let me close this. Okay. So now we can print this name to the browser. So it's optional. One second. Okay. So here, we're retrieving name, so we can print this to the browser. This is just a welcome message. Okay. P dot print. Welcome. welcome to the online training. Okay. So with username, so what is that? It's a name, the one which we are having here. Okay. So now we are trying to redirect as a link. Okay. So please observe here p dot print, and here in this, so hyperlink, how do we provide? With the help of anchor tag. H reference equals to Servlet, second Servlet. We are not yet created, but yes, I'll give it, within a single quote. It's not single quote, right? Right. So within single quote, this is a second Servlet. Okay, second Servlet, along with, after the second Servlet, we had passed the question mark along with the value. Okay, so what is value? Along with the value, first we have to pass one name. Okay, so name is a user. Okay, user equals to plus the one which we have done with the hidden form field, but here is a bit different. So value how we have assigned within double quotes, plus, and what is this attribute name? So this name, control C here, and I'm going to paste and close within double quotes. I should pass single quotes as well. Okay, so then close this. This happening. One more plus. But still. Okay, so here, let me close this anchor tag for the double quotes, and let me write here something else. Click here. Okay, but this, it's not accepting. Let me check invalid character constant. Okay, fine. So now it's working fine. Right. And now we can create one more servlet. We can create one more servlet where, in this package, right? So second servlet, this should be okay. So let me finish. Right. Okay, so let me create this annotation, delete annotation. And now move to this do get method. Right. Okay, so now inside this method, we just, we are just trying to get the, parameter which we are passing through URL. Okay, so through URL in the sense, this argument. Okay, this is actually value and this is the attribute, or the name which we need to retrieve to print value in a second page or second servlet. Okay, so here again, response dot set content type slash HTML. Okay, and then print writer. So print writer p equals to response dot get writer. Okay, so now string, again I'm taking it as a name. So string name equals to request. So request dot get parameter, and it's parameter what we have to get. So here what I passed, it's a user. So copy this and come back to this page and paste to here. Okay, and now just printing this value. It's not value, that username to the browser. So that is name, not name. So p dot print and welcome to hello less, and here it is name. Okay, so now configuration needs to be asked inside web.xml. Okay, so here we have to pass the configuration. Let me copy paste from the previous one, that is hidden form page. Okay, so I'm copying the same servlet configuration for both the servlets because the servlet names are same, right? So I'm copying. But here I have to change the name of the package. So what is the package name? So com.excelr.session. So package name is also same. Now we have to change, we have to pass the name, right? URL pattern name in login page. So where is login page here? First, yes. So now let's again go to second servlet and check the URL pattern. And this is second. Okay, so now go to this first servlet page. And here, actually, I just passed the second servlet here. So I had to replace that URL pattern. Okay, so now let me run this up, application, right? Okay, so restart the server again. And right, so enter some name. and click on login. So yes, it's actually redirecting to another page. So welcome to an online training, and 1 second. So in the first servlet is missing. Click here. Which reference can okay, let me check this again. So redeploy this. Now it is working fine because I missed one single quote. Null. 1 minute. Let me check once again because I added, single quote. Because always values will be in a single quotes, but still it's returned as a null. Where did I miss? So one last trial. Fine. So it is still reflecting as a null. Okay. So I will check this and I'll update you in this next session. Okay. So actually everything is fine, but somewhere it's missed. Fine. So update this in the next session. So if any queries, please drop a message in that window. Okay. So we wind up the session. Thank you all.